Coming out of high school, Cam Reddish was the third overall recruit in his class, behind only Zion Williamson and Barrett, his future teammates at Duke. He was viewed as a potential NBA superstar and one of the league's next great scorers. At 6'8" with seemingly elite shooting and ability to score in isolation, he was a nightmare for opposing defenses. He wasn't awful at Duke, as he did score 13.5 points per game as a freshman, but he shot just 33% from 3, which was supposed to be his specialty. This caused him to fall to 10th in the 2019 NBA draft, where he landed with the Atlanta Hawks. 4 years into the NBA, he has still struggled to consistently find his shot or his place on offense. And after signing with the Lakers this free agency, Los Angeles will be his 4th team in 5 seasons. If we're being honest, Reddish has been disappointing and he needs to get better quickly to last in the league, but I think he's found a perfect scenario to do just that. Over the past 3 offseasons now, the Lakers have brought in young wing/guard talent on cheap 1-year contracts. The first year it was Malik Monk, who had disappointed with Charlotte. He came in and averaged 14 points per game and ended up getting a 2-year, $19.5 million contract from the Sacramento Kings last offseason. Last year it was Lonnie Walker, who hadn't disappointed in San Antonio, but was still relatively unproven. He came in and averaged 18 points per game in November on 51, 44, 90 splits before getting his minutes reduced starting in January. He was honestly the Lakers' 3rd best player for the first couple months and had a huge game for them in the playoffs. Now the Lakers are filling that spot with Cam Reddish. He's a 5th-year, high-upside scoring wing who the Lakers believe can take a jump for them. They've been right twice before, and if anywhere gives Reddish a shot at living up to his potential, this is it. Now let's take a deeper look at why. Before we get into the looming breakout of Cam Reddish, if you enjoy my content and watch a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 96% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you're watching before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. Before we get into what the Lakers did for Monk or Walker, let's first take a look into how we got here with Reddish. As I said in the intro, Reddish was the 3rd ranked player in his high school class. He had offers from the biggest of blue bloods: Duke, UConn, Kentucky, UCLA, and Villanova. Reddish ended up choosing Duke to play for one of the best coaches ever in Mike Krzyzewski, as well as team up with the other 2 top recruits in Zion Williamson and Barrett. Despite Anthony Edwards claiming that Reddish was the most difficult player to guard during his high school career, he was pretty clearly the 3rd guy on the totem pole at Duke. Reddish showed flashes of very high upside while there, but the shooting, which was supposedly his best attribute, just wasn't what many expected. Due to everything that went on at Duke, Reddish slipped a little bit in the draft, but stayed inside the lottery at number 10. He joined an Atlanta team built around Trae Young and John Collins that could use an electric scoring wing. His counting stats were okay in his first 2 seasons with Atlanta, going for 10.5 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal in year 1, and 11 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal in year 2. He even started in 55 of his 84 games played. But his shooting didn't pick up from what we saw at Duke, and he shot just 33 and 26% from 3 in the 2 respective seasons. Then there was a glimpse of hope. In the Hawks' electric 2021 playoff run to the conference finals, he averaged 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals per game, while shooting a ridiculous 64% from 3. He was unconscious from downtown, and it finally felt like he was living up to what was advertised. Early on in year 3, it looked promising still. He averaged 12 points per game and shot a career-high 38% from 3. But the Hawks decided they had seen enough from Cam to fairly evaluate him and weren't pleased. So at the 2022 trade deadline, they dealt him to the New York Knicks for Kevin Knox, in a swap of underwhelming young guys who needed a change of scenery. The Knicks immediately placed him in a reduced role, with only 14 minutes per game and 0 starts. It was clear that Coach Tibbs did not like Reddish. However, to start the 2023 season, he was given a real chance. In 4 starts from November 11th to November 18th, he put up 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 2.3 steals per game. He even had a 26-point game in that stretch. But then immediately after this stretch of games, he was benched by Coach Thibodeau, and the Knicks never gave him a chance again. He was once again dealt at the deadline, this time to the Portland Trail Blazers. In his first 10 games of the team, he put up 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal per game. He had very solid 46, 39, 87 shooting splits. His stats began to drop off when the team began to tank, but I'm not worried about that. And that leads us to now, where he has signed with the Lakers for the 2024 season, hoping that they can help him break out like the other fifth-year wings before him. Let's start with Malik Monk. Monk was a superstar in college at Kentucky alongside De'Aaron Fox. He was selected 11th overall in 2017 and believed to be a piece of the Hornets' backcourt going forward, but he wouldn't even crack an effective field goal percentage of 50 until year 4. To put that into perspective, the league average last season was 54.5. He was wildly inefficient and couldn't even get many minutes. He was better in his last year with Charlotte in 2021, but many thought it could be a flash in the pan. The Lakers signed him to a 1-year deal for 2022, and it honestly saved his career. He started in 37 games, having only started in 1 game during his previous 4 seasons combined. He averaged 14 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game with the Lakers, all of which were career highs. And he had an effective field goal percentage of 58, which was well above the league average. He was often the Lakers' third best player, and was rewarded for it with a sizable contract the year after. To replace Monk, the Lakers signed Lonnie Walker IV to a 1-year deal heading into 2023. He had come off a solid final 2 seasons in San Antonio and had went from 7 minutes per game in his rookie season to about 25 per game over his final 2 years. But he was still relatively unproven. He started the season off very strong, with his best month coming in November. He averaged 18 points per game for the month and had 51, 44, and 90 shooting splits. Darvin Ham decided to cut his minutes after December, but he was called upon in the playoffs and put up a 15-point fourth quarter against the Warriors that likely won them that second-round series. He ended up leaving for the Brooklyn Nets this offseason, presumably in hopes of a larger role. Now the Lakers have turned to Cam Reddish as their 5th-year player with something to prove. He's on a minimum contract, and even his career production would be a steal with that money. But the team and its fans think he can be more for them, and why wouldn't you think so too? The team has a proven track record of doing this, taking guys who are somewhat disappointing or unproven and have struggled to be effective shooters and turn them into efficient and productive players. Am I telling you Reddish will be a star with Los Angeles? No, not necessarily. But I am saying that he's going to prove himself as a productive NBA player, and I think it's likely we will see a career high in points per game, or at the very least something around his 11 point per game best, but on much better efficiency. The Lakers are the perfect situation for Cam Reddish to break out. There's not going to be a lot of pressure. The team is now heavily invested in the 4 of LeBron, AD, Hachimura, and Reeves, as well as paying solid money for both D'Lo and Gabe Vincent. Reddish is a luxury for the Lakers, and if he plays to the level he's capable of, it will completely change what we think of this team, and it will likely save his career. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.